Actually, Laura, I was thinking this morning what I was going to say to you, and I came up with a little kind of analogy thing. Can I tell you?
Oh, yes. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Hack the Class Video Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Williams. This week, I am super stoked to be meeting for the first time someone that I've been following for quite some time now on social. Her name is Dr. Poppy Gibson. She is one of those people that you just kind of have an affinity for because everything she puts out there is so positive. I think that she's probably been an influencer to me in my profession, trying to find my own voice in my work. And so it takes people like Poppy who are kind of paving the way and making a safe place to, share your thoughts. And I will say she is definitely a lady that practices what she preaches. So she doesn't just talk the talk, she walks the walk. And I think that we'll discover that in our interview coming up here in a minute. So I'm so excited to meet her and I hope you love her. If you've never followed her, she's at Poppy Gibson UK on Twitter. And I know she has Instagram and I'm sure she'll walk you through that, but definitely somebody to watch. So we'll see her here in a minute.
Discover the future of education in this captivating docuseries that takes you inside modern classrooms. From innovative teaching methods to cutting-edge technologies, witness the transformative power of student-centered learning and the incredible impact it has on shaping the minds of tomorrow. Here is your host, Laura Williams.
All right, we have Dr. Poppy Gibson on Hack the Class podcast. We are so happy to have you. I'm definitely nerding out a bit because I am a fan. But for those of you, or for the folks listening that maybe haven't seen you on social, or maybe they're new to you, can you just give us like a little introduction about who you are, where you're from, and just sort of the work and advocacy that you do?
Yeah, of course. Well, firstly, I have to return it and say I love your content.
Oh.
I love everything you do as well, which is why I'm so happy to be here. But yes, my name is Poppy. I'm just starting my 19th year as an educator. So
Awesome.
I'm kind of at that point now. I've been educating more than I haven't been. So when I was 18, I knew I wanted to be a teacher, trained as a primary school teacher. So like
Oh.
age 5 to 11, taught for 11 years in the primary school, absolutely loved it. And just so happened then, did a master's, did a PhD, ended up working with adults in an educational
Yep.
capacity, and just fell in love with that and fell in love with supporting people that are kind of coming back to education, or they're finding time for themselves after maybe a different career or a career break, or being a parent or carer, coming back to education. And it just felt really amazing to see these adults being empowered through education. So that's kind of what I ended up switching to. And I've now been lecturing at university for 7 whole years, just starting my 8th year at
Oh.
uni. So I'm currently a lecturer in education at the Open University. And
Oh.
yeah, I'm here in London. So joining you from London, England.
Yay! Oh, I need to come like see everything. I am a travel junkie, so that's on my bucket list to
Yeah,
see.
have you been to London?
No, it's on. I need to get to. I want to see all of it. Like I have not been to the UK. I haven't been. Like I have my bucket list stops, and London is on
Mhm.
that sort of route. But I'll have to hit you up if I do come.
I was going to say, let me know when you can. I'll give you a private tour. I know all the
Oh,
best little places we can go, best cups of
oh.
tea.
I feel like I live vicariously through some of your posts too, because I kind of see like the landscape, like what it looks like there, and just imagine like what it must be like to live over there, across the pond, as they say. Um, I have for you cornfields and things like that here in the Midwest of the
Beautiful.
United States, but
So
that's cool. So
beautiful.
so university, so you then work with like pre-service teachers and things like that?
Um, what is pre-service?
Oh, sorry. So, just people that are like, I'm going to be an educator and I'm doing all my preparation work to become, whether they're going to be elementary or primary or secondary
Yeah,
educators.
exactly that. So I now work with trainee teachers. So I sometimes say it's a bit like, Disney's Lion King. I feel like I've gone full circle. Like I started out a new teacher. I
Oh.
taught all my life, and now I'm kind of supporting adults that want to go into teaching themselves. So the degree that I work on is a BA honours in primary education studies. So it's about helping people that want to be teachers, or maybe go into something to do with supporting young people. Like some people end up wanting to work in like speech and language therapy,
Yep.
or move like into social work. but the majority of them want to be teachers in the future. Yeah.
Oh, that is so cool. I'm definitely gonna like pick your brain a little bit on the littles. I was a secondary teacher, so I definitely have room to grow when it comes to like primary education. But most importantly, I have a 6-year-old daughter, and I'm like, oh, I hope
Oh,
I can meet her
lovely.
needs. Like, how do I teach her? And I don't know. So yeah, I would love to like unpack that a little bit.
But
Um,
just know that you're already meeting her needs. The fact you're even wondering if you're meeting someone's needs means you're probably through that process of reflection doing it. So you definitely don't need my advice on that. I bet you're
oh,
absolutely super mom, I'm sure.
oh,
But I think the main thing that I've learned, I think from any age, so I've got 3 children, and I think whether I was working with children or now when I'm working with adults, the one thing that I've learned is it all just comes down to that bond you make with them,
okay.
just like children in your own home, right? It's about the time you put in, it's about the mutual respect. And actually, Laura, I was thinking this morning what I was going to say to you, and I came up with a little kind of analogy thing. Can I tell you?
Oh, yes.
So I wanted to go with like to try and explain how I feel. So I came up with the idea. Imagine if, dear listener, you were through some event stranded on a desert island. So let's imagine you and a stranger, so someone you've never met, just the two of you end up, we could story tell all day, but I'm not going to get lost in the
What would
backstory.
happen?
We're
Yeah,
just
yeah,
there. So us and a stranger. And I was thinking, this is kind of what teaching's like, right? Because
yeah.
at the start of the academic year, you're often given a class of complete strangers, and maybe you know someone else's idea of them or a handover if they come from a class below, but generally they're strangers. And I was thinking, if you were stuck on a desert island with a stranger, what is the most important thing? And you might think it's having a really good plan to move forward. Like, what are you going to do first? Are you going to look for food, or are you going to build? Or it could be making sure you've got the best resources ready, like the best palm trees or coconuts. But actually, like, and I don't know if you've seen the film Castaway.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Of course, I'm sure most people listening have seen Castaway.
Yeah.
Because the interesting thing in there, although he did need a plan and he did need resources, the one thing that actually he needed more than anything was that companionship. And so he obviously made the
Well,
dodgeball Wilson.
yeah,
And I was thinking that's what you would need to do in that situation, right? If you were stranded with someone, the one thing that's really going to make a difference is the relationship and the bond you make with them. That's the best thing that's going to support each other, that's going to make you have a productive time on the island. And I think it's the same thing when you teach. Unless you really put in time to get to know someone, um, you're not going to have a productive educational experience, right? What do
yeah.
you think?
No, I love that. I'm like
I came up
imagining
with
that.
that for you. I hope you like it.
No, I'm like literally imagining like walking into the classroom, the island, and like prioritizing that relationship because I mean, think about the motivation. Like, if you have no one and nothing to live for, like, why are you going to try and go get those coconuts and things like that? So it's kind of like we're gonna have this productive struggle together. But before we can do that, we better trust each other, maybe care about each other,
Yeah.
respect each other, because if Wilson was a jerk, I'm not going to go help, get those coconuts for Wilson. No, I really love that. And I think that's a good mindset for any educator to think about as they go in, whether they're new to the profession or maybe they're kind of burnt out and thinking like, what's the missing element? Well, probably it's those relationships that maybe that's what needs to be worked on to keep you going, keep you motivated. No, I
I
love,
totally agree with you. Yeah, and I love a word you said there, trust as well, because
yeah.
I think it's really hard as educators. We're so bound by working towards outcomes or assessment. There are
Oh,
often so many boxes we have to
preach.
tick. Yeah, definitely. Same here in England.
Yeah.
But the one thing that doesn't change, wherever you teach or whatever age you teach, is that you're still humans, right? So that's the one thing we can work on. Things like trust, being transparent. So again, sometimes, when I'm working with my staff team, trying to say these are things we have to do and why we have to do them, and making people feel heard. So I think some of those skills definitely are just human skills. And I've found the best relationships that I've had with my learners have been when you have had all this things you say: trust, care, respect. Because otherwise, why would you want to listen to someone? And
Right.
actually, how much is it going to transform you? If we think that education is transformative, how much are you going to want to let it transform you if it's coming from someone that you don't respect and that you don't trust and you don't care for?
Oh yeah,
So
not at all. Like you're just
yeah,
gonna shut
not
down.
at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think imagining that we were stripped right back, obviously we all know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? If we
Yeah.
were stripped right
Yeah.
back to like just at the very basic level, the one thing we want is human connection. And it's exactly the same in education. And I think where education goes wrong is those times that we lose sight of the human needs of our learners and
Oh,
educators as well. Like
right. They're the people
forgetting that
too in
they're
there.
human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. It's people work that we do. And I think we really, like you said, I think one of the maybe missteps is putting too much emphasis on those, benchmarks, target, like the data, like we can't lose sight of the human part of the work. The qualitative part of the work, like we can't quantify, a feeling per se, but when you have that feeling, you're going to try harder. You're going to invest more. You're going to be curious
Yes.
more. Like you'll have that safety to be curious or fail or, what have you. No, I 100% like that is I think that's why I love your stuff so much, because I think you speak to exactly how I feel about
Oh,
education. Um,
thanks.
like putting the weight and the emphasis, people first, and then the other good stuff that we love about school and learning and, knowledge and skills and all those things. Um,
But you
really
know
make,
what, Laura, I think like educators know this, right? You know this.
oh yeah, we know
Teachers
it.
know this. We know it. And I
Give
think
us
uh,
permission.
yeah, give us permission. Like
Yeah.
here's the tension is
Yeah.
that we aren't given the space to fully do that. And yet we will try and do it. Of course we will. So we'll see the
Yeah.
children come in upset from the playground, someone had an argument. Of course we want to make space, but how
Mhm.
often have we had to cut those conversations short? You have two children come in that have had an argument just before the bell went.
Mhm.
You'd love to just sit them down on some beanbags, talk it out,
Yeah.
do some talking therapy, but you can't. You've got a minute to try and say, okay, what happened? Are you okay now? Are you fine? Go and sit
Train's
down.
moving. Get on the train.
Time to open a book.
Yeah.
And so it is really hard because I think educators, by their very design, want to be people. Like we want
Yeah.
to help, we want
That's
to
why we're
nurture.
there. Yeah.
That's why we're there. We're not there for the money, right?
I mean,
That's bigger.
it'd be nice if we had more of it, just
It would
leaders
be
listening. No.
really nice because where does it all go? But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
anyway, yeah. So I think we want to do it, and that I love how you said that. We just need that permission to do it, and I think that's the problem with many curriculums. I don't know what
Mhm.
it's like over there, but there just isn't the time and space. We're definitely on a conveyor belt,
Yes.
and that's what I love about adult learning. Although you're still on a conveyor belt, because
Mhm.
they're very much more in control, they have the agency on them to
Yes.
study. They want to
Yes.
be there for the majority because they're on their career pathway. It's a very different dynamic. Like often, whereas you're in primary school, you're helping them with the academic side. With adults, often it is the human side. They'll
Mhm.
want to talk to you about something that's happening at home, or maybe they're acknowledging their own strengths and weaknesses in their learning journey. It is much more personal. Maybe that's why I've fallen in love with it. But yeah, we want to do it right as educators. So we just need
Yeah.
maybe a new curriculum or a more human, like maybe with AI, with artificial intelligence taking over, we're going to remember that
Oh,
being
this is a
human
skill. Being human
being
is a
human is the
skill.
skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the skill. And actually, when AI is doing all the jobs, then
Mhm.
what we will have, it'll almost be like being back on that desert island. All we will
Yeah.
have is our humanness. And so let's
Mhm.
remember to
That's
teach children
Dr.
those skills.
Poppy, that is
Teach them.
profound. I am like goosebumps over here.
I mean, I'm not saying that I don't think the robots are going to like burn our cities and we're going to be on desert
No, it's not,
islands.
no, not
I
like
actually,
sci-fi. Like, oh
are you a
no.
fan of AI? I mean, I'm on the robot side. In case any robots are listening, hack the classroom. Like, I'm on your side.
I like
We are with you.
robots.
What
That
is
is hilarious.
AI like out there? Educators like embracing AI, or are people scared, or what is it like over
Yeah,
there?
I think it's a mixed pot. I think quite a few, I mean, and again, we're like in our own like echo chamber. A lot of people I know love it and we're all using it and it's like it's like
Mhm.
helping us get things done faster and we're utilizing it in that way. I think there's a lot of curiosity about it. I think there's um that thought of like, oh, kids are they're not gonna think for themselves. I think that is like a big fear of AI, is like taking away that struggle or that thinking, like, well, I can just go ask. I don't need to really troubleshoot this. I will just go get answers elsewhere. But at the same time, that's what business and industry are doing. And I don't know if we would want to not, like, I think we have a new paradigm we just have to adjust to. And
Yeah.
thinking about what you just said about like the human element, you can't robot that. You know what I mean? Like you can't, like, I think I think you're right. I think the shift on skills is going to be more evident as we move forward with these new technologies. But that's any technology. There's going to be a ripple effect, but as I'll tell you something my mom tells me, there's also a revenge effect. Like
Oh,
what are the things maybe we unintentional like consequences of this, and we're going to have to make up for that, whatever that shows to be. But yeah,
that's
no, I am
interesting.
for it. I think it's awesome. Like it's helped me out as an adult. I don't know I don't know the impacts or the revenge effect quite yet on young learners because I had to go through all the struggle without AI, right? Like I don't know if
Yeah.
that contributed in such a positive way. And if we take that element out, like what does that mean for kids? I mean, it's like I think we're still kind of like we're all watching. We're all like we're social scientists. What's going to happen with this?
Yeah.
Like hit this button. What's going to
Yeah.
happen? But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think skills will be really imperative in that human side with the rise of the robots
With the rise of the robots that we love.
that we love.
Um,
Everyone, don't
I
come
think
for
I
us.
think the main thing is, yeah, definitely don't come for us. The main thing I think is whenever we get a new tool. So if we look, even when I was at school, I am super old. We didn't have whiteboards. Everything was, a chalkboard or
Hmm.
books. Even maybe we did have computers actually. I'm not quite that old, but we didn't have the big screens that we have now. So
Right.
then now I hear people saying, oh well, we didn't have technology when we were at school and we still learn. And I think now AI is the next parallel of that. People saying, well, we didn't need AI when we were in school.
Right.
But
Right.
I think the main thing is teaching people to use it authentically. And the problem we have with adult learners now
Mhm.
who are 18, 25, 35, they're suddenly seeing that one thing AI can do is just produce content very quickly.
Oh yes.
And so obviously we have the issue at university where we have students who have typed in their question, their assignment question into a kind of an AI tool, and
Hmm.
then pasted large
Oh
sections
yes.
into the essay, and thinking that we wouldn't notice. And I
It's
saw a thing
it's kind of
today.
obvious, I think.
It's,
I
it's
mean,
quite, I mean, it's quite obvious because it doesn't cover any of the things we talked about in the seminar. But I saw someone as well today who's a book editor, and they posted on LinkedIn that one problem they're seeing in like the book industry is people that are writing large sections of their manuscripts with AI, and then for
yep.
editors it's a nightmare because it doesn't always have the best fluidity because it was written
Hmm.
by a robot, and the
Yeah.
robot didn't really reflect on it. And I
Yeah.
think that's the problem is we really need to show the children how to use it authentically and purposefully, because
Hmm.
otherwise they're just seeing it as a shortcut tool, and it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
But what it lacks is the creativity and the human perspective
Hmm.
that we offer. So the other day I asked an AI tool to write a script. I mean, it is amazing, isn't it? I asked it to write a
I
play
know.
script.
It's cool,
I
and it
gave it the
does.
characters, yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it just
yeah.
like pumped it out like pages and pages. But the one thing it doesn't have, and I honestly think you can tell it, like if I read a paragraph written by AI and written by human, I do think you can tell. And obviously that's the main way we know it's AI because of the way the grammar and the
Yeah, yeah,
structure is
yeah.
organized. So we can tell, but I definitely think if I read something written by AI, you often can't hear a voice. And I think that's the thing we need to show children to do. Use AI to amplify their voice,
Their voices.
not
Amen.
just
Yes.
use it to like steal the AI's voice because
Right.
it's not actually a voice, it's
Yeah.
a tool. So yeah, I think you're right. We're at the start of a wave of something that is incredible. And it's going to be about showing learners how to use it as a tool, not as a crux.
Yes.
But certainly in England, it's definitely met with a bit of excitement, a bit of fear,
Hmm.
and I guess the next few years we'll see which way it
The
goes in
ripple or the
education.
revenge.
The ripple or the revenge,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like
Hopefully the ripple
the
in a
ripple.
good way.
The ripple in a good way, hopefully. Robots. We're cheering for you. Now, I like what you just said. We can't lose our voices in this. Like we just can't. And I think that maybe one of the ripples will be the rise of the arts and creativity
Mm,
because you know, AI can't put that human like touch to it, the voice to it, I mean, sure, it can make amazing things, but like it's losing that voice. I think that's really powerful. So like in this paradigm, like don't lose your voice.
Yeah.
Um,
It's the most powerful thing we have. Like this is
mhm.
why I love your content. I love your podcast because it's sharing voices, and that's the best thing we can do. Sharing voices and also letting people hear others' voices. I
Yes.
honestly think this is the best thing we can do as humans
Hmm.
because going back to what we were saying about connectedness, it's all about feeling that we have a place in the world, feeling that we have
Yes.
value, feeling that we relate and that we're relatable. And so, yeah, that's why I think if we go back to what we said at the very start,
Yeah.
it's about connection.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think moving forward, wouldn't that just be beautiful if we end up with some curriculum that's all just about arts and humanities because the robots are doing everything else? Like
Yeah.
that would just
Human
be
voice.
so beautiful.
Let's co-write it together. Let's create a
Yes,
curriculum for the
yes.
human side.
I'm gonna take you up on that. I'll send you a contract.
Yeah, I love that idea. That sounds awesome. And I'm all about it. And I think some of the work I do with agility brings it back to like the people work. And, you know, culture building isn't just the beginning of the year activity. Culture building should happen all the time. And I do think, yes, it takes time to do that, but I think it'll pay dividends in the long run if you want people to feel connected and learn and buy in and feel motivated. I 100% think that. For sure. It's funny that you talk about the best thing we can do is keep sharing our voices. When I always do like a pre-intro to these things, and like that is the thing I said about you, Poppy. I said you kind of pave the way for people to feel like safe to share their voices. And I think
Oh,
that you're 100% right. We like just need to keep putting it out there. If not for anything, just as a reflective process on like who we are and who we're becoming as humans. And I always think like, you know, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that feels like this, you know, because I
mhm.
am human. And so by default, there are others like me going
Yes,
through the struggle, whatever that is, or you know, whatever life throws at us and whatever we're navigating, it's like we're not alone. And I think that's the power of social media. I know there can be bad things with social media, but I think that's the power behind it for sure. Um,
definitely. You're so right. And I think as well, we're seeing a big push here in the UK on the power of reflection,
mhm.
on like having reflective elements in our modules at university level. Because I
Yes.
think for too long, education has been more passive, right? It's been learn the knowledge, be able to write the answer so you can pass to the next level. But actually, if we want learning to be lifelong,
Hmm.
then we need people to really have a connect with themselves. So it's really amazing to see some of the work we're doing now. Like we did an induction for our new students at the university this week, and we were thinking, what is it going to be on? Is it going to be on, you know, the module structure or knowledge exchange? And it actually we did this really gorgeous activity called Manual of Me. You probably have seen a similar thing, and so we had all these adult learners that were just creating like a poster of themselves, and it was, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, when do I work best, you know, what might I
Yeah.
find difficult during my degree. And it was just really amazing, like thinking how important this session was. We
Yeah.
didn't want to start just talking about what are the assignments that you'll do for the next year,
Right.
but actually, who are you, like what are you bringing to the classroom, and what does this journey need to look like for you. And I think that's what's exciting about education, the way
Hmm.
it can really empower us and really help us grow like nothing else can, is when we have the chance to learn, and to learn not just content but learn who we are. And I guess that's why teaching is just the best job in the world.
The best in the world. Amen. Amen. I love that. I'm taking that with me. The induction. I love so thinking about induction in a different kind of way of like people are part of it, and so we need to know, you know, how you learn best and
Yeah.
you know what's been working for you, what doesn't work for you, and making sure to include that. And I think that can be at any grade level. I think, you know, having that
Yes,
conversation, you know, why do you like school, or what's the fun part for you, or what keeps you coming, and having those conversations are really important. I really love that. I know we're
definitely.
running out of time. I have so many questions, but I we'll have to like have
Okay,
a round
let's
two
do
or
a
something.
quick fire round.
Yeah, quick fire round. So I always ask this, but we're all really passionate. I think it's very clear how passionate you are, and the kindness that you have, Poppy. I just love it
Oh,
so much.
thank you.
If you had to articulate your sort of hill to die on, your educational hill to die on, and this is that thing, like, how people have dinner conversations and it's like, yeah, I don't really feel like battling that one. You just kind of let it go. But if this comes up, you're like, oh, I have some things to say about that. What is your hill to die on?
Oh, you've like given me a really difficult question right at the end.
Sorry.
I guess it would be doing it for you, right? It would be learning is for you.
Hmm.
And I think that's the thing school sometimes teaches people is learning is for school. But actually, some of my favorite experiences in my life have been like do my PhD, right? And
Oh,
I had two kids
congratulations.
at the time,
Yeah.
and well, I used to put them to bed. Spend the whole day, feeding them, washing them, cleaning them, playing with them, singing to them, put them
Mhm.
to bed, and then I would just open my laptop and log onto my PhD thesis and write some words. And I just felt like education was for me. And
Mhm.
equally, my husband says he would never ever want to write another essay again in his life. So education is, his education is different. He's still learning, just not in that
Mhm.
way that we think
Yeah.
of learning as being, with a classroom and assignments. So I
Yeah.
think don't forget that education is for you, whatever that education is, in or out of the classroom. Like, don't be afraid to go out and seek it, go out and learn it, take that cookery class, buy a pasta machine and figure out how you do it, or learn to paint or learn to take up a craft. Like, learn anything at any time, because it is for you, and it is the most empowering thing when you learn a new skill, when you produce something that didn't exist before.
I
it,
love that.
it's just incredible, and it reminds you how valuable you are to make something that wouldn't exist if you weren't in the world. So yeah, that would be it. Like, even if you had a bad school experience or a bad university experience, like, maybe think, what do I want to learn next, and go out and learn it.
Yeah, maybe that bad experience, it wasn't for you, and you can
Yes.
take ownership and remember that it is for you. I love that so much. That's almost like the epitome of authentic learning. Like, go and learn and see and figure it
Yeah,
out and pivot if
take
you need to.
control.
Yeah, I love that. We are running out of time. I wanted to ask you about your ferrets and your traveling, but we'll have to come back to that another day.
Will
Um,
you come on my podcast? Come
what?
on my podcast. You come on my podcast and I'll ask you some questions.
Okay, that sounds really good. But yes, you're a very neat person. I hope people, if they have never heard of you until this podcast, I hope they start following you. How do they, if they need more of you, what are your handles? Where should they follow if they need to get in touch? How can
Yeah,
they?
amazing. Yeah, come find me. You'll find me on Instagram, Dr. Poppy Gibson. You'll find me Twitter, Poppy Gibson UK. I'm here from London. You'll find me on LinkedIn, Poppy Gibson. I'm always really happy as well, people to connect, ask me any questions. Maybe if you're a teacher, you're thinking about going into adult learning,
Uh-huh.
or you're thinking about doing another degree or some learning yourself, and you just want to chat it through. Honestly, I'm always really happy for people to get in touch with me to chat anything about education at all.
And she is sincere. She means that. She's not just saying that because she
Yeah,
definitely
I'll
walks
be
the
checking
walk.
my inbox, guys. So please.
Oh, that is so awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Poppy, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you. Keep up your great work.
Thank you.